Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Dr. Richard Becker, CEO of PAGNY. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us, taking time away from your families and your evening for this update. I want to introduce my colleagues, and then we're going to give you a brief update on things that are happening and have some time for questions. To my right is Dr. Matt Klein, our Chief of Medical Operations. To Matt's right is Diana Voigt, our General Counsel. To my left is Jose Montalvo, our Chief Operating Officer. To Jorge's, which is your name? I'm sorry, I'm having brains on this. To Jorge's left is Michelle Ronquillo, Chief of Human Resources, and to Michelle's left is Anthony Mirdita, our Chief Financial Officer. I think that's the hardest part for me of the presentation. I made it through it. So good. So also, if you'll notice at the bottom, there's a Q&A function. We want to receive your questions. We'll have probably about 20 minutes towards the end to go through them. And we're very careful about answering the questions. And if we don't know the answer, we will certainly follow up and get back to you. I also want to wish everyone, hope everyone had a happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and hope everyone is continuing to enjoy the holiday season and stay safe. The purpose of this update really is to bring information to you, and as I said, hear from you. We're very interested and very focused on, understanding better the challenges that you face, where you work, how you work, when you work, and also your satisfaction with all of those things, as well as your compensation. We're very interested in making sure that you feel valued in every way. And we're going to talk to you about how we get there and how we continue to improve on that. So, Tanya, if I could have the next slide. So for us, performance excellence and growth from our current platform is the key focus. And there are a few things that we're going to talk about that go right to that. I kind of think about it in 5 different categories. The focus is people, service, quality, and those 3 things combine how we're managing those and how we're building our strengths and skills around that, combined into financial stability and growth. And we're going to talk about how that works in a minute. I do want to mention the restructuring that we just went through. We pulled back a number of people from the sites and are consolidating to build central strength at PAGNY. Our strong belief is that PAGNY needs to have strong and very efficient and effective core central functions. And we do that best, not by having no one at the sites. We think it's important that you all have, and critical that you all have interface and the ability to talk to a person. But we want a strong and functional group of people who can really address the issues as they arise in a team manner. And that's done best with everyone, or many more people here at Central. And so, that was really why. Jorge is going to talk a little more about some of the details of that and what we're hearing, which is mostly positive. I think that transition is going very well. I want to spend some time also talking about the H&H contract negotiation update. I'll tell you a little bit more about where we are with that, and then the rest of our team members are going to talk to you a little bit about where they're focused. But in addition, we have updates on the health insurance transition, vacation and CME extension, and the 401k enhancement, things I know that are on people's minds. So, Tanya, if I could have the next slide. So as I mentioned, our focus is on really 4 general things: high performance, creating financial stability, which can allow us to have consistent and directed growth, and ultimately leads to organizational and individual satisfaction throughout PAG. Those are our primary goals. But how do we do that? We do that, and we do that by, if you direct your attention to the left of this slide, addressing carefully the 3 areas: people, service, and quality. When it comes to people, as a practicing physician, and for all of you in PAGNY who are providers, our patients always come first. That's our mantra. That's our underlying concept and principle. And I know, having done this for many years and seen it, When organizations lose sight of that, it doesn't go well. And when organizations keep that front and center, then they thrive, and all the other success comes with it. We do that. I'm quite proud of how this happens with PAGNY and throughout H&H, and we need to continue to build on that. But what is also critical to our people part of the equation is our providers. PAGNY employees and providers experience, your compensation, your satisfaction, your work-life balance, all of those things matter deeply to everyone here at this team and everyone who we work with and supports us. And we are very committed to optimizing each of those areas for you. How do we do that? We do that by first, again, developing best-in-class service for our patients, but also for you, our providers. We need to be responsive. We believe we are, but there's always room for improvement. And we're working hard to find out how can we not only get more compensation for you, but how can we deliver better services so that when you have an issue that's troubling you or that needs attention, we are on it and we get right to it and get you back, hopefully, the answer you're looking for. We won't always be able to get you the answer you're looking for, but we can always get back to you and then work with you through the various challenges that exist. And we're committed to doing that. Again, delivering service means delivering on compensation, on benefits, on support and response. So we're very focused on that. And you will continue to hear more about that. On quality, I'm very proud of the strides that H&H has made over the past few years to really become a leader in delivering quality clinical care. It's phenomenal, and it's been done well, and PAGNY providers have really led the charge on that. We need to continue that, but not only do we need to do that, we need to develop data on how we do that and where we do that and when we do that, so that we can show, not just for bragging rights, and I'm proud, and you should all be proud. We need to brag about what we do, but we can also use that to leverage our financial stability and create growth opportunities. And that's why developing quality databases and analytics around quality is actually so important for us. That then shifts us to the right side of the slide, which is some of the good stuff as well, and that's finance and growth. Again, focused on improving compensation for our providers. I feel like I can't say that enough, and it's an important point for us to stay focused on. It really matters. And it really matters to us that we achieve your financial goals for you. We want to do that, however, by aligning with H&H financial relationship around mutual objectives. And I think, as you'll hear when I talk a little bit about what we're doing in the contract negotiation, we're well on our way to doing that. As recently as today, I've had conversations with folks at H&H that really align us on the concept of sharing in the gains that we make together, both clinically and financially. And then we also need to invest in the organization. It's important to make sure everyone individually is thriving, but without a strong organization that invests in itself, we'll never accomplish the goals that we want. So we have to make sure that as we build financial strength, a portion of that financial strength goes to support the efforts of growth and development of our organization. And speaking of growth, that's what we need to do. We need to really look at our strengths and our scale and target that expansion around both of those things. We have lots of current opportunity with H&H. Matt is going to talk a little bit more about what he's seeing and what those opportunities are. But there's also many opportunities with new partners out there that we are going to explore and bring back to PAGNY for potential new areas of growth and revenue and success. So I wanted to give you a general picture of how we think about the approach to these things, and you'll see much more detail in each of these areas as we drill down and accomplish specific and targeted objectives. Time can have the next slide. Let me take a minute and update you on the contract negotiation process with H&H. I think they are acting as good partners, and we are moving forward with the negotiation, I think, in a very positive way. We're very close to a business reconciliation for some outstanding issues with a resolution that's very favorable. I won't talk about the number right now because it's not definitive and we have to work on the timing of when we receive that, but we're comfortable with where we are and believe that we'll get there in very short order. We are talking about and very focused on repairing the gaps in fair market value compensation, understanding that there are always specific constraints that another party has. We're also focused on making sure that we deliver value. If we're asking for fair market compensation, we need to deliver the value around that. I think the quality strides that have been made over the past few years absolutely demonstrate that, but there's still more work to do. We need to build on that. And so incentivizing high performance is a critical principle to this negotiation. And you will see that and we'll speak to the detail of that as it evolves. I think people in this market, providers in this market, have many opportunities. There's a big demand for physicians and advanced care providers, and we value each and every one of you, and want to make sure that we have that we are taking great care to make sure that you continue to stay and work at PAGNY and with H&H. So we're looking at things such as loan forgiveness, retention bonuses, and increased sessional rates, as well as benchmarking salaries for all providers throughout PAGNY, whether or not you're a physician, and all staff, in fact. So we're very focused on that, and Michelle will talk a little bit about that when she speaks. I think, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of money around global reimbursement that is being left on the table. H&H recognizes that. We are taking important steps to work with H&H, and we're actually, and they have noted this and thanked us for it, bringing real value and real thought to showing them and helping them and working with them to capture more of that reimbursement. And as we do that, we are aligned with them for revenue gains on higher performance in this area. That's an important principle because the world is shifting away from fee-for-service, the medical world, the healthcare world, and moving more towards at-risk or value-based or global reimbursement performance. So the more we are aligned and the more we can perform in this area, the more it will inure to our benefit. But you can't do any of this, as I mentioned, without developing and managing the organization. And so we're also talking with H&H about investment in the organization. And that is building and developing the tools and developing our people who are here and adding additional people with new skill sets that we believe are absolutely necessary to accomplish all of these good things together as partners. We're excited about this, and we're going to continue to report back to you on progress and hope to have this resolved over the next couple of months. The timing of when these hopefully increases hit is unknown as of yet, but we want to see something for fiscal 22, which is now through the end of June. And then, obviously we would want to see, increases and additional compensation in the years beyond as well. But we'll have more specifics on that as they evolve. I want to turn it over to Dr. Matt Klein to give an update on what he's doing in medical operations. Matt?
Great. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody zooming in and spending some time with us and listening to what we're saying. And please give us some feedback on your thoughts and things that we can help you out with. So a couple of things on medical operations. What we want to do is ensure that we support our providers to the best that we can. We want to make sure that they understand that PAGNY is there for them and is there to take care of as much of their back office operations as possible. So in that regard, we're going to be starting, I'll talk a little more later about a credentialing department to support the providers and to maintain their records, maintain their CMEs and all the other things that are required to maintain your licensure as a physician or as an advanced practice provider, and and support you with that, give you notices and make sure you're up to date and able to that. Would also helps us support H&H because we feed right into their system, make sure your credentials at the hospitals are active and in good standing at all time. We're looking to help PAGNY leadership develop clinical and departmental strengths. So we're looking at all the departments across the hospitals and the hospitals, see what their challenges are and see where we think we can help them grow. I'll talk a little about two of the first projects that I'm working on. We're looking to develop things along service lines where we can look at outside of individual hospitals a little bit and across the H&H system, where there's opportunity for shared gain, both shared gain in revenue, shared gain in services provided, increasing what we can do internal to the system and not sending out to other facilities, and that we can do locally for people in the communities that we serve. One of the things that I've started recently, and we met just last week, is a CMO council. And this is a monthly meeting of all the CMOs at the hospital. And this is an opportunity for us to share common problems, solve common issues across the system, and address things and share what we're each doing. And it gets us out of that sort of siloed thinking of what's going on in my hospital and learn from each other. It's important in terms of education, important in terms of shared services. As an example, Lincoln Hospital is having a joint commission survey this week, and it's an opportunity afterwards for Lou Marshall, who is the CMO there, to share some of the results of that with everybody else who is going to have a joint commission survey coming up in the next months or year, what they're looking at, where they're focusing their efforts, and where we can make sure that we're ready for their inspection. Another thing that we're doing, and we're engaging the CMOs in this, is developing service lines for improved clinical care and delivery. I'm going to talk a little bit about that on the next slide in just a minute. But I also want to talk about our advanced practitioners, our nurse practitioners, our PAs, and our midwives. And one of the things we're going to do in conjunction with a CMO council is have an advanced practice council to engage the advanced practice practitioners in what is working for them in PAGNY, what we can do better in PAGNY, how we can use them better, and how they can perform at their top of the scope of their practice and provide care to our patients in the best, safest, most effective way that they can. Tanya, next slide, please. So one of the big efforts that I'm making is service lines, and this is really the big effort to think across H&H system rather than as siloed hospitals. My initial focus is going to be on women's services and on anesthesiology. So in women's services, the hospitals all provide basic women's services, OBGYN services, but some more advanced services, MFM, REI, Urogyn. It's difficult for the hospitals to afford the individual providers, and it's one provider at a hospital who may not have a full plate of work, but to do it across the system and to share those services across hospitals allow us to provide all these high-level women's services without people leaving the system, without people leaving H&H and the care that we provide. So we're looking to grow that along the service lines and to provide those physicians for each individual hospital in a way that's cost effective for H&H and provides the high level of service that our patients have come to expect. The other piece is anesthesiology and how we're able to deliver the care both in the operating room and outside the operating room in an efficient and cost effective manner for our providers, so we can provide more care and support our surgeons, our interventional colleagues, our obstetricians in providing care for all our patients. Another way that PAGNY is going to be helping our providers and supporting our providers with credentialing, which I talked a little bit about already. We're building our own in-house service, and this will allow you to have one central repository of all your credentials. You'll be notified, 90 days out when you can renew your license, and it'll help you support all those functions that you need to do to make sure you're credentialed in a real-time manner and re-credentialed as well. I've been on email chains with Michelle Allen this week, getting everybody done before the end of the year. And hopefully we'll be able to move that timeline out to 90 days instead of 30 days over the course of the next year. And next year, by December 1st, everybody who needs recredentialing will be done already, because we'll be on that system, make sure everything is taken care of, be able to support H&H credentialing process at each hospital. So a lot of it, what we're doing, and Michelle's going to talk a little bit about the intranet we're building out, but part of that is also, again, going to be one-stop shopping for your support in your credentialing, your licensing, your CME, advanced training, and other things that you need to get done, that we all support you here with that at PAGNY, and that we have all the resources available that you need to be able to do what you do best, which is provide critical care. All right, thanks, Richard.
Terrific. Thank you, Matt. Michelle, you want to provide this the chart, please?
Good evening, everyone, and happy holidays. So we've got a couple of enhancements to the 401k program. For the under age 50, the threshold maximum contribution for the employee shifts up by $1,000, so it goes to $20,500 this year. Effective next year. And anyone in the over 50, that catch-up contribution category, I'll count myself in. Everybody knows. It sits at $27,000 is the maximum. So again, that's another $1,000 increase. The exciting portion for all of you is the employer contribution is also increasing, because the salary limit changes from $290,000 on the cap in 2021 to $305,000 for 2022. So what that means is that the PAGNY 3% and 7% contribution is going to be based on that new cap of $305,000 in eligible 2022 earnings. So we're going to be sending a message and reminder out to everybody next week. But if you think about, for you to really benefit from the employee part of the contribution and kind of raise those maxes, you're going to want to increase your contributions to be able to hit those new targets. And that's important, as Dr. Becker mentioned earlier about that work-life balance and, us being able to plan our lives accordingly as many people have transitioned. So it's an important component is to be able to think about your retirement and savings for your extended future. The next topic I want to just spend a couple minutes on is the vacation and CME time that was extended through 12/31. So some of you will remember that anything would have expired this summer. That was extended through December 31st of this year, and that has been even further extended thanks to H&H and Dr. Becker and the team who negotiated a full extension of 14 months there. You have an opportunity to be able to take. So no one is going to lose their time. That's all been extended through December 31st of next year. We are going to focus the communication on the buyout option to those individuals who will be eligible, and we should have a full clean update by the first payroll of January. So look for a communication for those individuals that are eligible for the option to buy out. And then this is just a, kind of a follow-up to what Dr. Klein was talking about. We're currently piloting CME dollars in PACOM, and there's a definite expansion effort to standardize, and we're still working through some of the details, and I have another meeting with PACOM next week, but we're excited. When I sent the communication out a couple weeks ago to just remind everybody how to benefit from technology through the end of the year, I think at that point I had 47 emails of people asking, how much do I have left? So I think, we talked about it, very quickly shifted and decided this is a good opportunity for us to give you something that we can standardize, give it at your fingertips, and that you can be, planning accordingly by knowing your balances at any time that's convenient for you. So another topic near and dear to everyone's heart, I think, is the health insurance transition this year. And we're, thrilled to be able to talk about some of the steps that we've already taken, confirming the accuracy of all of the eligibility files that were successfully sent to Aetna and CVS Caremark. All of your prescriptions will transfer automatically, and that includes any of your specialty medications, or you had to have pre-authorization in advance to be able to do that. It's very important for us to ensure that a lot of those administrative things were taken care of for you so that you can continue to give the care that you need to yourselves and your community as well as taking care of your families. We're going to help you with some weekly messaging. So you'll look for messaging on a regular basis. I think as early as next week, we will start to see those new healthcare cards coming in the mail. So it'll be very important to get those up to date and have those. We're gonna send a message about setting up the app on your phone. I think everybody always knows where their phone is, but I don't necessarily know where my health card is. So, being able to have that access right at your fingertips in terms of eligibility and where you are for the year. There's also the teledoc services that are included as part of the concierge program. And so very important that, 11 o'clock at night when you have a symptom or you need to talk to somebody, you don't have to get up and do that. You can actually do that from your phone and provide those services. And just a general who to call for what. We know anytime there's a change that, you're used to calling someone and you want to be able to just know at your fingertips who those folks are. So we've put together a virtual benefit fair where we'll actually have representatives from Aetna and CVS Caremark do a presentation of all of the suite of tools that you'll have available to you. And we'll be sending those invites out tomorrow, but the book times that we've confirmed is 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 4 p.m. So look for a link to follow in the next 24 hours. And we certainly hope that we have great participation and everybody is able to attend, because I think you'll be excited to hear about some of the concierge services that they're really able to enhance for you on behalf of Aetna and CVS. And that is my update. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Anthony.
Thank you, Michelle. So I have two finance updates. The first one is the faculty practice distributions. As you know, physicians generate Part B revenue, that is the physician component. And after some expenses, there is an amount that's available for distribution. The distribution has already been made for Harlem Hospital, Metropolitan Hospital, as well as Lincoln. Coney Island and Jacoby are finalizing their model, and that payment should be going out shortly for those three hospitals. The other update I wanted to bring out was the fact that Dr. Becker has challenged myself and my team to transition from a cash basis of accounting to an accrual basis of accounting. And before I explain why, let me just walk you through what the difference is. Cash basis accounting is sort of like your checkbook at home, right? When you record basically revenue when the cash is actually received, and when you make a payment with the cash, that is when you record the expense. So that's current status. We're going to be transitioning into accrual basis of accounting, which is we record the revenue when we earn it, as well as the expenses when we actually use it. And so, okay, great. Now, why are we doing this? Well, primarily for two reasons. First, cash basis of accounting is not really GAAP acceptable. GAAP is generally accepted accounting principle. That is the standard, the gold mark to go through it. We've been operating on the cash basis of accounting mainly because H&H does these reconciliations where we square up basically $800 million worth of revenue expenses. So they want us to do it on a cash basis. So having them done on accrual basis makes us conform with GAAP. The second reason we're doing it is we are often asked to provide these statements. They're sort of like the Bible for the organization. And as we look to expand and bring on new revenue and bring on additional partners, giving them financial statements that are on accrual basis basically makes them sort of formal and conform with industry standards. That will help as we continue to grow. I'll turn it over to Jorge.
I want to remind everyone that we do have a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So as you're hearing our presentation, my presentation, and thereafter, you have a chance to ask us questions, and we'll be taking those at the end of the presentation. And I think you've also heard a lot of exciting things happening. Dr. Becker set out and Board set out a great vision for PAGNY's growth as a medical group. I'm going to talk a little bit about our corporate restructuring that lines up with that vision and how it's going. It's going well, thankfully, and we have daily calls with your facility chief affiliation officers. That's our kind of site director for PAGNY on these non-clinical issues. And we've been able to resolve issues, frankly, at a faster pace than we have in the past. I think it's gone very well. We've also added additional resources in assigning accounts payable and budget analyst to each facility. And that speeds up things that affect you every day. Things like C&E reimbursements are starting to come in faster, or pay out faster. Analyses of departments as chiefs are trying to look at, filling vacancies and figuring out what the pay scale should be, are happening now at a quicker and more uniform rate. So we can look at the whole system and see how things are going. And we have an additional weekly call with our HR team to supplement the daily work that happens each day. I'm also going to close up my part of the presentation by telling you all, reminding everyone about the H&H, or the agreement that we came to with H&H on research that allows PAGNY to be a stronger partner and become the grantee on research that you all may be taking on or want to take on. And in that vein of an increased presence in research, we had an excellent research day yesterday. We had over 50 abstracts that were submitted and graded by a team of PAGNY employees, other PAGNY clinicians and PIs here amongst the team. And for the first time, all facilities were represented. So it really shows an increased interest in research and hopefully an increased interest in having PAGNY serve you in helping you develop new research projects. So it was a great day yesterday.
Thanks, Jorge. So we, as Jorge mentioned, we have time for questions. So please use that Q&A button and send in your questions. We'll get to answering them in just a minute. But two quick items. One, Anthony Mirdita, our CFO, is resigning to pursue other opportunities. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Anthony from the bottom of my heart. He's done a phenomenal job, truly a phenomenal job, in really steering over the past 6 or 7 years, PAGNY towards financial stability. Without Anthony doing what he's done in finance, it would be a very different picture here. And I think the organization owes Anthony a true debt of gratitude. I've only had the privilege of working with him for 3 short months, but I already love the guy, and we'll miss him tremendously, and just wish him well in future endeavors. So thank you, truly. And then the other kind of sad fact is that we had to cancel the Christmas party, the holiday party.
Your send-off.
And we were looking forward to that, but just with all that's going on with COVID and the concern for Omicron, we thought that it's much smarter to be conservative. There'll be other times to celebrate, and we like to celebrate, and we will, but this is just not one of those times right now to celebrate all together in one way. So with that, again, thank you, and Jorge, we'll turn it over to you to run the questions in Q&A.
Sure. Our first question comes to us actually on an issue of recruitment, and asking, what are we doing or what are we looking for as far as trying to speed up the rate at which we recruit and backfill positions, and in particular, someone in a smaller department.
Yeah, I think we look at that in a kind of multifaceted approach. I think, obviously we think there's a very big delay in how long it takes for credentialing. And that's one of the reasons for us to be able to sort of expedite and help to make that quicker. And so there are times that we're losing candidates, or candidates are able to, get attached and move on someplace that has a simpler or, quicker, more efficient process. But I definitely think that, there's that component of it. And then I think in general, we're looking to, cast a much wider net, a much broader brushstroke. And we've added 3 different new job boards this year to be able to attract a bigger diverse population. I think we're, looking at expanding the visa program, our immigration specialist, and, sort of trying to expedite some of those services and things that are available to us. But it's, I think we've all felt the squeeze. I mean, I think as a country, and certainly there is a shortage of, highly skilled and qualified individuals. So I think without, compromising our standard or lowering those expectations, we want to be able to deliver as quickly as we possibly can. So I think it's about us aligning up front, how quickly the needs are, being flexible. We've had just some terrific flexibility from the chiefs that have said, listen, if 3 is what I can do, and have it in, this person works this shift and this person works this shift, to be able to do that. So I think that creativity and flexibility from the chairs has been very helpful for us to be able to sort of have that flexibility. But I think the other just short answer to that is we've added an additional physician recruiter that was part of the reorganization. So just another set of hands to be able to target and focus on all the different needs and opportunities that we have to fill those positions.
Then a question comes in on CME, and I think that this person, and I think questions on CME and particular to your situation may be best handled if you reach out to your local chief affiliation officer at your facility, the PAGNY office is there to answer any of these questions about if a conference is held on the weekend. And I think that for that question and a couple of others who come in, you'll get a very quick response about what is allowable and not allowable in your CME application, dollars and days, and how we might be able to be helpful and be flexible to your needs. But on the, there is a question again for Michelle. This time, if you could just go through one more time, what you mentioned on the 401k and who set those standards of those increases on 401k. Right?
So the IRS guidelines, some years they're updated, some years they have stayed the same. I don't know if you could flip back, Tanya, but essentially the under 50 lifted the cap by $1,000 this calendar year. And then also the catch-up contributions for the over 50 increased by $1,000 as well. I think the big lift is the what the employer is allowed to contribute. Again, in years past, including this year we're in now, it was $290, and now it goes to the $305. So ultimately, what that means is that we went from being able to contribute a maximum of $29,000 on the employer contribution side. That number becomes $30,500. So that's an additional amount of funds that are allocated on behalf of PAGNY to you to be able to utilize for purposes of retirement deferred income.
On the question of the health, the administrative change, a question was asked if now moving to Aetna, if that's now added vision benefits to our plan.
I know there's a location that has that inclusive. I honestly probably prefer to know what location is asking that question and take that up, but it's not really on the medical side. That's the question. Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing. So
The plan
vision is not a
the same.
separate Jacoby.
Plan design is the same. So the vision is the same at Jacoby.
There's a question now about the kind of the way that our physicians interact with PAGNY and asking about with different changes in PAGNY structure and organization, what the role of the local governance councils, what the vision for that is moving forward, and I guess it's generally that how we see engagement of our physicians.
Sure. I mean, I think, I'll take that, and Matt, you can surely chime in as well. Look, I think that we're at a distinct disadvantage because the management team at PAGNY, corporate team, we're not in the hospitals every day. And that's a disadvantage. And so we need and very much want to be engaged with our providers, our physicians, our advanced care practitioners. That's critical to us. And so we have meetings like this, town hall meetings, and we're looking to build other types of meetings. Matt's meeting with the CMO councils, where we need to be invited to the LGC meetings, and we are getting invited to those, and we'll attend those. There are also doctors' council meetings that we're being invited to. We want to attend those and are eager to attend those. There are joint operating committees. There are lots of different opportunities, and we're trying to get to each site to have a presence there. Not all of us at once, obviously, but we're deploying ourselves so that we can be out in the field. And then, of course, we want to hear from the LGCs to make sure that we are very much in touch with what's going on and what the issues and challenges are. The LGCs do elect the board members, and so the board, each LGC has representation on the board, and the board meets monthly, and so we do hear from our very active and engaged board, which is a very positive thing. But we are constantly looking for more ways to be in touch and engaged with everyone who's impacted. Matt, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so we're finding, PAGNY is not a small organization. There are 3,000 plus providers. And how do you reach out to each and every one? Well, we do it through these multiple methods. The board is one representative method. Dr. Becker and I, Jorge goes regularly to all the sites. Dr. Becker and I have gone to some of the sites, met some of the CMOs and CEOs, and we'll be back to the sites on a regular basis to meet some of the department chairs and some of the physicians and PAs and midwives and nurse practitioners. Whether it's, we'll make ourselves available for in a conference room for a while. We want to meet everybody. We want people's input. This is a joint project. We're all working together on this. So we want to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are, what will make this better for you, how we can better deliver services for you, or we can better support you to, provide clinical care. So there'll be multiple different ways that we're engaging. And again, the other easiest way is just to reach out to us by email. We're all, we all have PAGNY email addresses, either through Tanya or somebody else. You can always get in touch with us if you have a thought to share, a question to ask. We're here for you.
Our next question comes to us asking about sessional rates. It just notes, I think, something we've heard a lot about across our physician base and our non-physicians, advanced practice professionals, that the sessional rates are unequal, and there's sometimes even competition between sites because of these rates being different. And I just wanted to hear a little bit about what our vision is.
So let me give you sort of a global, my global thoughts on it. And I think I speak for everybody else here in the executive team. I'd rather spend money on sessional rates for people than I would on locums rates, bringing in outsiders. I'm about taking care of our own people, allowing them to work to whatever, as much as they want, to whatever level they want, compensating them fairly for it. And yes, there's a discrepancy in sessional rates there. And that's one of the things that we can start thinking about as a system rather than as individual hospitals. Because the worst thing to do would be for us to compete against each other. The Kings to compete against Coney Island, for Harlem to compete against Metropolitan or Lincoln. That doesn't serve anybody. But to get the sessional rates to a fair, equitable, and reasonable rate consistent across the system that makes people want to work and is a reasonable, fair rate and reduces the use of locums, which is where I think we'll find most of the money to support the sessional rates.
And just to add to that, that's exactly right. H&H is very supportive of that direction as well. So that's where we're going to explore. And we'll also be talking to our union partners about this as well and involve them, because it really is a team effort to align everything. So it makes sense.
Our last question comes to us from Kings County Hospital. Just one of our physicians is asking when we think we might have a new CBA at Kings County. Timing question.
I will. So listen, I wish I had a crystal ball. What I can tell you is that we're actively engaged, both with Doctors Council and sort of what a path forward could look like. We also meet on a regular basis with H&H labor relations team. And actually tomorrow I also have another meeting with H&H HR, but we're talking about the things that matter to the members. We're trying to get a good understanding of a path forward, but I think some of the things that were brought up today, like comp, standardization, not competing with each other. I mean, today we're sort of status quo on the Coney's contract for Kings, but is that the right contract for Kings? And I think that's what we want to kind of standardize and take a look at going forward so that we're not competing with ourselves. So we're taking this opportunity to really do a full press on what's the right language, who's in the bargaining unit, what's the right salaries. And so right now my team is actually working on job titles, job descriptions, comp analysis, and then my labor team is working on the language for the contract. So we're all working on different components of it, but we are actively working on the internal things that we can do so we can get back to the table and actually have productive conversations to move forward. I definitely, if I had to say, I think we're looking at, at least into first quarter next year. But I definitely think by the end of this year, for us to get dates on the calendar and get active and be back on the table is what our expectation is.
And with that, we've answered the questions.
Great. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you taking time out of your evening. I know it's a big commitment, but we hope this was helpful to you. Again, wishing everyone a happy and healthy and safe holiday season, and we look forward to seeing and talking to you soon. Thanks for coming.